So there's a wild rumor in Ottawa. There's always rumors in Ottawa, but there's more of a rumor that Justin Trudeau might prorogue Parliament. Now, these rumors come up from time to time, but there was a reason why this gossip reached a fever pitch today, and that's because Toronto Star columnist Susan Delacourt, who's known for her cozy relationship with PMO senior staff and frequently having access to PMO staff, she wrote this column about prorogation today in the Toronto Star. Now, before I break down for you what she said, why it started the rumors, and what the actual reason why Justin Trudeau would prorogue is, I'm going to ask you to do something really important. Many of you ask me how you can help me get the word out through all of Justin Trudeau's censorship bans. There's a link that I just put in the comments. I've written all of this out for you guys in an article format. If you click on it and click subscribe, it's free, and it allows me to directly communicate with you when you subscribe to these articles, as opposed to maybe or maybe not seeing this on a social media platform that could be censored by Justin Trudeau's censorship bills. And in the future, if Justin Trudeau somehow manages to ram Bill C-63, the online censorship bill, this really draconian bill, I'm going to need a way to communicate with you guys. So this is why I write these pieces, the links in the comments. It takes virtually no time to sign up, and it's free. Please do that, because then I can directly communicate with you about this information. Okay, so let's get back to the Susan Delacourt piece and the prorogation rumors. So Susan Delacourt wrote this piece essentially suggesting that Justin Trudeau would be doing Canadians a favor if he prorogued Parliament. Now, what does proroguing Parliament means? It means suspending Parliament or stopping Parliament. And she suggested that he would be doing you a favor because those pesky opposition Conservatives have been doing something in the House of Commons that Justin Trudeau doesn't like, and that is holding him to account, but on a very specific issue. Some of you might have been reading this week about how the business of Parliament has kind of ground to a halt, but it's because Justin Trudeau's government refuses to hand over documents related to a massive potential multi-million, hundreds of millions of dollars, potential alleged misappropriation of your tax dollars. So there's this investigation that might be going on. Parliament, actually 3 opposition parties, voted to compel the government to give these documents to the RCMP. The government is refusing. So now there's this impasse in the House of Commons that can be easily resolved if Justin Trudeau just hands over the documents and respects the will of Parliament. But he's not. So back to the Susan Delacourt piece, she's saying, oh, there's going to be cynicism in Canadian politics because of what's happening. And you know what? That is entirely liberal spin, because who is cynical? Who has made you cynical about Canadian politics? It's the word salad answers that ministers like Chrystia Freeland, Melanie Joly give. They're complete ineptitude as a government, and they're just terrible decisions, right? It's Justin Trudeau who's actually making Canadians cynical. So let's get back to prorogation. So, and the suggestion, the preposterous suggestion that somehow this would be Justin Trudeau doing you a favor. Who would prorogation benefit? Prorogation would benefit one person and one person only, and that is Justin Trudeau. Now, how would it benefit Justin Trudeau? And I want to break down for you some of the myths that I've been hearing about prorogation. So I've seen a few people online say like, oh, well, it might actually be good because it would wipe all of the bad bills off the House of Commons docket. That's not entirely true, because what the government could do is, if they return from prorogation without going to an election, they can pass something called a programming motion that would just reinstate those bills, right? So again, there's no benefit to this. The main thing that prorogation does is shut down parliamentary committees. Many of you will watch on social media, if the mainstream media is not covering it, which they rarely do, clips of my colleagues holding the government to account on things like this green slush fund. There's been coverage in Western Canada anyways this week about really good work my Conservative colleagues have been doing that have uncovered just massive gross failures on the Liberal government to do things like prescribe burns in Jasper National Park, which could have contributed potentially, and they're doing work on this at committee. They're trying to find out how much that potentially exacerbated the Jasper fire. Like, I mean, that's 2 examples out of dozens of committee work where we're digging, we're trying to find out information about Liberal scandal. You know, in my industry committee, we're looking at the fact that the Liberal government's, you know, Mark Carney, their economic advisor, is the chair of Brookfield, and he's got all these, you know, potential issues and potential, you know, conflicts that we need to investigate. And I could go on and on and on. The point is that if he prorogues, all of that stops. Not only does the committees can't meet, but we can't actually use emergency tools or parliamentary tools to force those committee meetings to meet. So what prorogation does, let's be very clear, is give Justin Trudeau a breather from being chased by this mountain of scandal. So let's get back to the Susan Delacourt piece for a second. And again, all of this is in the article that I wrote in the link in the comments. In that piece, I've got links to her column so you can read it for yourself if you want to see how ridiculous it was. And links to this other information as well too, and then you can share that article. So click on that, click subscribe. But back to the Susan Delacourt piece. I think, and I mean, I've heard this a lot on the Hill today from people from different parties, that the Susan Delacourt piece might actually have been like some trial balloon messaging or floating how much you would be upset as a Canadian voter if Justin Trudeau shuttered Parliament. Now, she's suggesting that somehow it would be a favor to you, you know, that this might make Canadian politics less cynical. I mean, I know you don't buy that, but that was actually the spin in the article. But it's interesting because I do think that that's the messaging that the Liberals might use to explain a prorogation, which, going back to the start of this video, is why there's all of this gossip happening on the Hill today, saying like, oh, did you see the Delacourt piece? It sounds, and everybody knows, you know, she's very close to some senior PMO staffers, saying, do you think this is like actually trial balloon messaging per prorogation? So in my piece, and again, the link's in the comments, you know, I think that the reason why Justin Trudeau hasn't prorogued yet is because he knows you're going to be mad at him, right? It's a pretty nuclear option. That's number one. And number two, I think that there's a lot of people who aren't sure if Justin Trudeau is actually going to reoffer. So if he does reoffer, it would make sense in some ways for him to prorogue, right? Because it would allow him to get out from the eye of scrutiny in parliamentary committees. But if he doesn't reoffer, then they absolutely would need to prorogue because obviously the Liberal Party going through a leadership race, they wouldn't want the government to fall during that point in time, right? So at the end of the day, this is why this Toronto Star piece, which many people, of all political stripe, not just Conservatives, people are reading this going like, what, like, are you serious? But it was so ridiculous. I just wanted to break it down for you. So the link's in the comments. Click subscribe. And if you watch to the end of this, the other thing you can do is click subscribe to this channel. It allows me to give you notifications about when I'm coming live to do these types of things. And you can also share this video. Sharing this video allows me to get my message out, our message out around